HPE reporting strong fourth quarter results, and we're seeing shares at a new record high. It's all around the sales strength that we're seeing for servers to power AI workloads. How resilient is that? Let's ask Antonio Neri, HPE CEO. So what's interesting about the AI server business was that it's still growing fast, but as it cooled sequentially, are you feeling confident about the purchases here?
Well, good morning, Caroline. Thank you for having me today. We had an exceptional quarter, and obviously one of the flagship elements of that quarter was AI. But I have to say it was more than AI. It was also a hybrid cloud business performing exceptionally well. And the server in general, because ultimately we have growth both on the traditional CPU and obviously on the AI side. But on the AI, demand continued to be very, very strong. You know, as of today, we have more than $3.5 billion in backlog. That shows the momentum that's there in the market. Now we're seeing a significant uptick in the pipeline in enterprise AI. But in total, we have a pipeline that's a multiple of the backlog. So as we go into 2025, obviously there is a transition to the direct liquid-cooled set of technologies with Blackwell and Grace Blackwell. And as you know, 2 months ago, we announced a new architecture, which is 100% fanless direct liquid cooling, is the industry first. And more than one third of that $3.5 billion backlog is already on Blackwell. So we expect continued growth as we go into 25.
How are those Blackwell shipments looking? How certain?
Well, it definitely is all very consistent to what we have seen. The number of customers continue to grow. The demand across 4 different segments continue to be very solid. You know, when I think about AI, I think about 4 distinct segments. I call it the model builders and the hyperscalers. Then the tier 2, tier 3 service providers, the sovereign, which is growing very rapidly in terms of interest, and the sales cycles are a little bit longer there, but you're talking about large-scale deployment, and we are in the process to building in the UK, the UK Bristol AI Cloud, and in Japan, the AI ST, and then the enterprise, which obviously the order value is significantly lower, but the number of transactions is significantly higher.
But the supply side has been the issue with Blackwell in particular. How swiftly are those shipments arriving? How on track do you now feel it is?
Yeah, I will say, you know, the supply will come in due time because of the transition that Jensen and team are driving. I will not say it's problematic. It's just the transition in the early part of 2025. Today, we continue to ship, you know, H100s and the H200s. But as I said earlier, Caroline, we already have more than one third of that, more than $3.5 billion already in Blackwell. And a lot of that has to do with companies that lead with that technology because they want to get better performance, better energy density, and ultimately lower the cost per training.
You were really interesting articulating just the breadth of demand coming from there, mentioning sovereign as well as enterprise, for example. How resilient is that demand? What's interesting about your backlog, which you say is very resilient and strong, but there was a $700 million debooking. How confident are you in some of these purchases, in some of these deals that have been signed?
Yeah, so in our current more than $3.5 billion, we're very, very confident. In Q4, we booked $1.2 billion of new orders. And we decided to book a specific orders because we had specific concerns about the risk associated with that order. And we have very, very strong controls in place. And we felt that because of the risk associated with even the financing side, we felt this was not worth the headache. And honestly, we decided to focus on the number of growing customers we have and allocate the supply to the right customers. So that's why we decided to debook that specific order, Caroline.
You're also doing deals, of course. We are hearing confidence on Juniper Networks acquisition for the early 2025. Is that just going to sail through DOJ, do you expect, with the next administration?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we have received pretty much all the approvals around the world with you know, what I call unconditional support. Basically, it tells you that the rest of the world sees this pro-competitive. And with the DOJ, we have had a very collaborative process throughout the last several months. And we expect the transaction to close in the early part of 2025, which still is within the original timelines we stated when I announced the deal on January 10th, which was end of calendar 2024 or early part of calendar 2025. And so nothing gives me pause that will not be the case. And then in addition, for the United States, this is good not just pro-competitive, but also for U.S. national security, because ultimately the combination of Juniper and HPE provides a better ability for us to compete outside the United States, particularly when you have Chinese competitors around the globe. And remember, Carol, that for the United States, we provide the largest supercomputers that are doing also AI, and that requires a lot of networking. And today, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise owns 7 of the top 10 supercomputers. Number 1, number 2, and number 3 are HPE systems.
Well, being reflected in a new record high on the share price, and Morgan Stanley sounding very upbeat about eventually what Juniper does in terms of accretion. We thank you, Antonio Neri, who's the HPE CEO today.